here are some of the things you want to keep in mind to keep your computer all cleaned up. First, when a computer's updating, it's software that says Windows is updating, do not turn off your computer. Don't turn off your computer because it's doing something that it needs to update whatever it's updating in the background. I have not got one of those messages yet. So, another thing to keep your computer to last longer is really get something protective. Now, I'll show you what I use. If I can find it. Okay, so here is a laptop bag. I'm not sure if this is a large enough laptop bag, but it's a laptop or something that's going to keep your stuff safe. And another thing is, another thing I found is a lot of people that are movie watchers, myself and others, they tend to want to watch movies on their bed, and they want to just kind of sit on their lap. They got the blankets on top of them, which is kind of really bad for the computer because it can melt the components inside of it. So it's always good to keep it on a flat surface. Now, it does not say that you can't watch movies on your bed or whatever. What I'd really suggest to do is that you put it on like a plank of wood. So keep a plank of wood with you. It'll really help. It'll keep the computer from, from overheating. Another thing is overheating, because it's so expensive to solder things or to have them get resoldered onto a motherboard, then the whole motherboard goes bad. So keep it at a good temperature. Be smart when you're watching movies. For me, if I'm watching a movie, I put my laptop here. It's a little desk thing on a side bed, so I can still see the movie, but I don't have to operate the computer. There's no reason why you need to have the computer on your lap when you're watching something. I know it's called a laptop, but you need to keep it equally ventilated. Okay, let's talk about time spent on the laptop. So you can keep your laptop running for about a couple of hours, depending on what kind of battery pack you have installed in your computer. So my computer runs a 3-cell battery. And let me tell you, that battery will last me around 6 hours. Now, that all depends what I'm doing. Maybe I can watch 2 movies with a 6-hour battery because it's powering a lot of those pixels on the screen. So, 6 hours is amazing to be watching, to be doing mixed use. I would say you get about 4 hours with mixed use. 6 hours is really good. 7 is really good, too. So, it all depends what you're going to do on the computer. You need to find something that fits your kind of lifestyle. Battery that fits your lifestyle. For me, if I'm watching movies and I'm most at home, wherever there is an outlet where you can plug your laptop in, take the advantage of it, plug it in, let it be plugged in. The only reason why you should unplug it is if you're going anywhere, if you need to drain the battery. A lot of people say that when they use the battery of their laptop and they keep it plugged in for, more than it should be, it starts to deteriorate the battery. So my good suggestion is to use that when it's plugged in, and it shows you the red symbol that says plug it in. Don't let it die completely, because it needs a little bit of juice to keep the BIOS alive, so it can save all your stuff. Another thing with the laptop is to make sure where you're getting software. So software can come from 2 places on a computer. It can come from the manufacturer, or it can come from where the operating system is. So the manufacturer for this computer is ASUS. So you can get apps off of the ASUS website, which are specifically designed for their computer line. You can also get apps from the Windows Store, being that it's running Windows 8 operating system. So you have to be kind of careful with what kind of operating system you have installed on your computer. Let's see, what's another advice tip? Okay, don't let children touch it. Okay, because obviously if you're with them, you can let them touch it. Don't have any beverages next to the computer. I know a lot of people that like to eat popcorn and their whole keyboard gets sticky. You don't want that. What you want is you want this to look just the way it looked like when you took it out of the box for the first time. I like to almost put it like this. You're borrowing someone's laptop. If you were borrowing someone's laptop, you wouldn't go, putting your dirty hands on it after you've eaten popcorn and get everything, oily on it. Another suggestion is that to run scans. Now, you don't need to run scans like a crazy person, but if you have a VAST or whatever, make sure all your stuff is updated. There's certain things on the computer that can be updated, and certain things you shouldn't touch when they're updated. One of the things that I have done before, and I'll tell you, is I used to update stuff too much. Now, if a computer has bugs and they make another model, and that computer has bugs, then that operating system now that you have is bugs. It's just all bugs. There's all issues. When the computer comes with Windows 8 or Windows 7, don't try to alter any of the software, because this computer was built for the operating system to handle it. The operating system can handle what the computer components have. It cannot do anything more, anything less. Let's talk about ways to keep your data safe. Okay, this is a big one. First, never remove any components out of the computer, because you don't want to do that, because you'll never be able to put them back in. And I don't know why you'd do that, if you were insane, maybe. Okay, another thing is to back up all your data. So they have cloud storage, cloud stores or whatever. It's something called the cloud, where you can store all your stuff on there. If you are okay with storing your stuff on a cloud, go for it. And store all your music videos and, anything that you have on the computer that is within value. Because if something happens and the hard drive breaks or whatever, you still want to have all your data. Another suggestion for computer care is that really every time you go to shut this keyboard or this power panel right here, this LCD panel, look at the LCD panel, because if you were to put a pen and use this as like a little holder, and when you go to close it, it'll snap and break the screen. So just kind of all the time you look, when you're about to close it, look and be like, okay, everything's intact, I can go ahead and close it. That's what you need to do. What's another thing? When you go to put a laptop in a bag, keep the laptop shut off, because if it's running and the bag has, it can just melt the bag of one, and it can melt the computer's components, and we don't want that. You paid a lot of money, and a lot of good money for a product like that. Now, another suggestion is to go for a warranty plan. Now, for this computer, they offered an $80 warranty plan for, drops, spills, and cracks. What I feel about plans like that is that the computer is going to constantly update. And what I learned with the other computer is that when a computer breaks, what usually happens to a computer 2 years ago after, when you replace it, is everything is different. So the components are different, and what you insured, you could get better for less. Or you could get the same computer, but for less money. That was what happened in my case. So, definitely look at those as options for you, because they might have an insurance plan for you, but you might be paying, something stupid, where the computer's not even worth that much money. Now, if you buy a MacBook Pro, or any MacBook, it is good to get Apple Care, because Apple Care is great. But when you go from Windows and you're getting something that's like a mainstream computer, you don't need to put it under a warranty, unless you do want to put it under a warranty. That is totally your call. Things to look out for in this part of the video. Okay, so this little fun side on the computer, where you got your optical drive. I had an optical drive on this computer, this other computer that I had. One of my first computers, and look what happened to the optical drive. The plastic part of it snapped off, and that's because I had it on an edge of a thing, and I was pulling the computer, didn't realize this was open, and it snapped the plastic thing right in half. So be really careful. Okay, so now, this is what it looks like when it turns on. So you're going to go ahead and sign into your computer or your account. I'll do that in a second. Another thing is, keep your stuff safe. So put a password on there you're going to remember, so that no one can go into your computer and try to get into something that you don't want them to get into. That's another suggestion. So, another thing is gaming. A lot of people are gamers. A lot of these mainstream computers can handle some gaming. What I would suggest, if you're looking to play, like, World of Warcraft or whatever, figure out what are the specs needed to run World of Warcraft, like what components in your computer have to work together to be able to play this game. Now, because I played World of Warcraft on the other computer, I had no problems on the lower settings, but over time, that's why it would overheat. It's because the processor was working too hard to have all the graphics be running. So, you really have to understand the difference of what kind of computer you're getting. So if you're going to get a computer that's basic, like this one, you're not going to do so much gaming as you're going to do everyday, computing. For some computers, you can get a Intel 5 processor. For some of the Intel ones, they're really good. I was really surprised with how this one came up with, because I had Pentium. So I'm sure that if you figure out what the Intel processor is running, you could figure out if your game computer is eligible for gaming. Movies. A lot of you guys use these computers for streaming movies. One suggestion is never stream music and movies from sites that are not legit. And so if you're using the Avast, that will tell you if it's legit or not. You'll see a check or you'll see you just know if it's not having a check, I wouldn't go to that site if I were you. Because that will stay on your computer. If you are looking to have access of streaming on stuff, get something like Netflix or Hulu. Don't go to a random site and try to watch a movie from there. It's very bad for, the computer in the long run.